Hello and good day. Our topic for today is partnership dissolution. Partnership dissolution is the third topic in accounting for special transactions, and at the same time, this is the part 3 of the accounting for partnerships. First, let us define dissolution. Dissolution is basically the change in the relation of the partners. In other words, dissolution is due to the change in ownership. Take note that dissolution and liquidation are not the same. Kasi kapag sinabing liquidation, ito na yung termination of business operations or the winding up of affairs. The following are major considerations in the accounting for partnership dissolutions. First, admission of a partner. Second, withdrawal, retirement, or death of a partner. And third, incorporation of a partnership. These three events cause the dissolution of the partnership. Kapag nag-admit ng panibagong partner, dissolved ang partnership. Kapag nag-withdraw, nag-retire, or namatay yung partner, dissolve ang partnership. At kapag kinonvert yung partnership into a corporation, dissolved ang partnership. The first event that causes dissolution of the partnership is admission of a partner. The admission of a new partner may be effected either through, first, purchase of interest in the partnership, or second, investment in the partnership. Sa purchase of interest, ito yung mga tatandaan nyo. First, any consideration paid or received by a partner is not recorded in the partnership's books. Meaning to say, yung price paid or received by a partner is irrelevant to the partnership accounting records. Kasi nga, yung purchase of interest, that is a private and personal transaction between the partners. The only entry to be made in the partnership's books is a transfer within equity. That means, i-debit natin yung selling partner's capital at i-credit natin yung incoming partner's capital. Sa investment in the partnership naman, ito yung tatandaan nyo, the consideration paid by the incoming partner is recorded in the partnership's books. In other words, yung price paid by the incoming partner is already relevant. Kasi nga, itong investment in the partnership, this is a transaction between the new partner and the partnership. Yung purchase of interest kasi, yun ay transaction between the partners. Itong investment in the partnership, this is a transaction between the new partner and the partnership. The following scenarios may occur when a new partner invests in a partnership. Una, the incoming partner's investment is equal to his or her capital credit. Kapag equal ang incoming partner's investment sa kanyang capital credit, there is no problem. Ang gagawin mo, i-debit lang yung asset na ininvest ng incoming partner at i-credit yung incoming partner's capital. Second, the incoming partner's investment is greater than his or her capital credit. Mas malaki yung investment ng incoming partner kaysa sa kanyang capital credit. The excess contribution is treated as a bonus to the old partners. And since merong bonus to old partners, mag-i-increase ngayon yung capital ng old partners. And of course, there is a corresponding decrease in the new partner's capital. Third, the incoming partner's investment is less than his or her capital credit. That means mas mataas ang capital credit kaysa sa investment ng incoming partner. Therefore, kulang yung investment ng incoming partner. Yung kakulangan, yan ay bonus to the new partner. And since merong bonus to the new partner, mag-i-increase yung capital ng new partner at of course, mayroong corresponding decrease in the old partner's capital. Another event that causes dissolution of the partnership is withdrawal, retirement, or death of a partner. When a partner withdraws, retires, or dies, his interest may be purchased by one or all of the remaining partners or settled by the partnership. Sa purchase by one or all of the remaining partners, ito yung tatandaan ninyo, the settlement amount is not recorded in the partnership's books. Therefore, yung settlement amount ay irrelevant sa partnership accounting records. Because, again, the purchase by one or all of the remaining partners is a personal transaction between or among the partners. The only entry to be made is a transfer within equity. That means, i-debit natin yung outgoing partner's capital at i-credit natin yung purchasing partner's capital. Sa settlement by the partnership naman, ito yung tatandaan ninyo, the settlement amount is recorded in the partnership's books alongside any other necessary adjustments. This time, yung settlement amount ay relevant na sa partnership accounting records. Kasi nga, yung settlement by the partnership ay transaction between the retiring or withdrawing partner or deceased partner's estate and the partnership. In settlement by the partnership, i-debit natin yung outgoing partner's capital at i-credit natin yung payment made. Another event that causes dissolution of the partnership is incorporation of a partnership. Kapag sinabing incorporation, ito yung conversion ng partnership into a corporation. When a partnership is converted into a corporation, the corporation acquires the assets and assumes the liabilities of the partnership and in return issues shares of stocks to the owners. Since i-convert na yung partnership into a corporation, yung partners tatawagin na sila as stockholders or shareholders. Ito yung tatandaan ninyo when it comes to incorporation of a partnership. If the fair value of the net assets exceeds the aggregate par value of the shares issued, the excess is credited to share premium. So here, you have to compare the fair value of the net assets and the aggregate par value of the shares issued. Kapag mas malaki yung fair value of the net assets, magke-credit tayo ng share premium. So basically here, magde-debit tayo ng assets, magke-credit tayo ng liabilities, at magke-credit tayo ng share capital. Kapag mas malaki yung debit kaysa sa credit, magke-credit tayo ng share premium. Let us now answer some problems. Problem number 1, admission of a new partner. Carrot joins the partnership of Apple and Banana. The partnership's statement of financial position before Carrot's admission is as follows. Cash, 30,000 pesos. Accounts receivable, 140,000 pesos. Inventory, 200,000 pesos. Equipment, 500,000 pesos. All in all, the total assets amount to 870,000 pesos. Accounts payable, 80,000 pesos. Apple capital, 60%, 515,000 pesos. Banana capital, 40%, 275,000 pesos. All in all, the total liabilities and equity amount to 870,000 pesos. The following adjustments are determined. A. The recoverable amount of the accounts receivable is 120,000 pesos. B. The inventory has a net realizable value of 160,000 pesos. C. The equipment has a fair value of 450,000 pesos. And D. Unrecorded liabilities amount to 20,000 pesos. Case 1. Purchase of interest from one partner. Carrot acquires half of Banana's capital interest for 800,000 pesos. Requirements: provide the entry and determine the capital balances and profit or loss ratio of the partners after Carrot's admission. Case 2. Purchase of interest from more than one partner. Carrot purchases 20% of Apple's and Banana's capital interests for 800,000 pesos. Requirements: provide the entry and determine the capital balances of the partners after Carrot's admission. Case 3. Amount of investment. Carrot wants to invest for a 20% in the net assets and profits of the partnership. Requirements: if no bonus is allowed, how much should Carrot invest, and what would be the new profit or loss ratio of the partners after Carrot's admission? Case 4. Investment in the partnership, bonus to new partner. Carrot invests 100,000 pesos for a 20% interest in the net assets and profits of the partnership. No goodwill is recognized. Requirements: provide the entry and compute for the capital balances of the partners after Carrot's admission. And case 5. Investment in the partnership, bonus to old partners. Carrot invests 180,000 pesos for a 20% interest in the net assets and profits of the partnership. No goodwill is recognized. Requirements: provide the entry and compute for the capital balances of the partners after Carrot's admission. Unahin natin yung case 1, purchase of interest from one partner. Carrot acquires half of Banana's capital interest for 800,000 pesos. In this case, the requirements are provide the entry and determine the capital balances and profit or loss ratio of the partners after Carrot's admission. First, we have to restate the assets and liabilities into their fair values. So prepare 3 columns for carrying amounts, fair values, and increase or decrease. Recall na kapag nag-increase ang assets, ang effect niyan sa net assets ay increase. Kapag nag-decrease ang assets, ang effect niyan sa net assets ay decrease. Kapag nag-increase ang liabilities, ang effect niyan sa net assets ay decrease. At kapag nag-decrease ang liabilities, ang effect niyan sa net assets ay increase. Sa cash, walang increase or decrease. Pero sa accounts receivable, meron. Ang carrying amount ng accounts receivable ay 140,000 pesos. Pero ang fair value ay 120,000 pesos. Because it says in the problem, the recoverable amount of the accounts receivable is 120,000 pesos. Therefore, it is the fair value. Since ang carrying amount ay 140,000 pesos at ang fair value ay 120,000 pesos, therefore, may decrease na 20,000 pesos sa accounts receivable. Since nag-decrease ng 20,000 pesos ang accounts receivable, ang effect niyan sa net assets ay decrease. Next, inventory. Ang carrying amount ng inventory ay 200,000 pesos. Pero ang net realizable value ay 160,000 pesos. Since ang carrying amount ay 200,000 pesos at ang fair value ay 160,000 pesos, merong decrease na 40,000 pesos. Since nag-decrease ang inventory by 40,000 pesos, ang effect niyan sa net assets ay decrease. Next, equipment. Ang carrying amount ng equipment ay 500,000 pesos. At ang fair value ay 450,000 pesos. Therefore, may decrease na 50,000 pesos sa equipment. Ang effect ng decrease ng 50,000 pesos sa equipment ay decrease din ng 50,000 pesos sa net assets. Next, accounts payable. There is no decrease nor increase in accounts payable. Doon sa letter D, may unrecorded liabilities na 20,000 pesos. Therefore, yan ay accrued liabilities. Dahil yung liabilities na 20,000 pesos ay unrecorded, kailangan natin siyang i-record. And of course, pag ni-record ang liabilities, tataas ang liabilities. At kung tataas ang liabilities ng 20,000 pesos, ang effect niyan sa net assets ay decrease. Therefore, magkakaroon ng decrease of 20,000 pesos. I-compute na natin yung carrying amount ng net assets. 30,000 plus 140,000 plus 200,000 plus 500,000 minus 80,000. That is equal to 790,000 pesos. Next, fair value naman ng net assets. 30,000 plus 120,000 plus 160,000 plus 450,000 less 80,000 less 20,000. That is equal to 660,000 pesos. Since ang carrying amount ay 790,000 pesos at ang fair value ay 660,000 pesos, therefore, may decrease na 130,000 pesos sa net assets. Of course, pwede nyo ring makompute yung negative 130,000 pesos by adding all the decreases sa increase or decrease column. Negative 20,000 pesos plus negative 40,000 pesos plus negative 50,000 pesos plus negative 20,000 pesos. After makompute yung change in net assets, i-compute naman natin ngayon yung capital after admission. Ang beginning capital ni Apple ay 515,000 pesos. At ang beginning capital ni Banana ay 275,000 pesos. All in all, ang total beginning capital ay 790,000 pesos. Based sa computation natin kanina, may revaluation decrease na 130,000 pesos. We need to allocate that first to the partners. I-allocate natin yung negative 130,000 pesos kay Apple at Banana. At ang gagamitin natin to allocate that negative 130,000 pesos ay yung profit or loss ratio ng partners. The profit or loss ratio of the partners is 60-40. 60% for Apple and 40% for Banana. For Apple, negative 130,000 pesos times 60%. That is equal to 78,000 pesos. And for Banana, negative 130,000 pesos times 40%. That is equal to negative 52,000 pesos. We can now compute for the adjusted capital before admission. For Apple, 515,000 pesos minus 78,000 pesos, that is equal to 437,000 pesos. For Banana, 275,000 pesos minus 52,000 pesos, that is equal to 223,000 pesos. Of course, all in all, the adjusted capital before admission is 660,000 pesos. Since Carrot acquires half of Banana's capital interest, mababawasan yung capital ni Banana at madadagdagan yung capital ni Carrot. Kalahati ng capital interest ni Banana ang binili ni Carrot. Ang half ng 223,000 pesos ay 111,500. Therefore, i-deduct natin yung 111,500 kay Banana. And of course, dahil bumili si Carrot kay Banana ng half capital interest, madadagdagan yung capital ni Carrot ng 111,500. Take note, yung sale from Banana to Carrot ay walang effect sa total partnership capital. Why? Because yung sale, that is a personal transaction between banana, and carrot. That's why the partnership capital is not affected. Pwede na natin makompute yung capital after admission. For apple, 437,000 pesos. For banana, 111,500 pesos. And for carrot, 111,500. All in all, the total capital after admission is 660,000 pesos. At this point, we can now provide the entry to record the purchase of interest. Before admission, ang profit or loss ratio ay 60-40. 60% kay apple at 40% kay banana. Of course, dahil inadmit si carrot sa partnership, binili ni carrot yung 50% ng capital interest ni banana, mababawasan ng 20% si banana at madadagdagan si carrot ng 20%. Take note, yung 20%, yan yung half ng 40%. After admission, the profit or loss ratio of the partners is 60-20-20. 60% for apple, 20% for banana, and 20% for carrot. Next, case 2, purchase of interest from more than one partner. Carrot purchases 20% of apples and bananas capital interests for 800,000 pesos. In this case, the requirements are provide the entry and determine the capital balances of the partners after carrot's admission. The entry is debit apple capital 87,400, debit banana capital 44,600, and credit carrot capital 132,000 pesos. Paano na-compute yung 87,400? Yung adjusted capital before admission ni Apple ay 437,000 pesos. Imumultiply natin yan sa 20% para makuha yung 87,400 pesos. Next, paano na-compute yung 44,600 pesos? Ang adjusted capital before admission ni banana ay 223,000 pesos. Imumultiply natin yan sa 20% para makuha yung 44,600 pesos. Next, i-compute naman natin yung capital balances of the partners after carrot's admission. In other words, i-compute natin dito yung ending capital. Ang adjusted capital before admission ni Apple ay 437,000 pesos. Ang adjusted capital before admission ni Banana ay 223,000 pesos. All in all, that is equal to 660,000 pesos. Dinabit natin yung 87,400 pesos. Therefore, yung 87,400 pesos, i-deduct natin yan sa 437,000 pesos. Recall na ang normal balance ng capital account ay credit. Dinabit natin yung 87,400 pesos, therefore, ibabawas yan sa adjusted capital before admission. Therefore, the ending capital of Apple is 349,600 pesos. Next, for banana, dinebit natin yung 44,600 pesos. Since dinebit natin yung 44,600 pesos, i-deduct natin yan sa 223,000 pesos. So the ending capital of banana is 178,400 pesos. For carrot naman, credit natin yung 132,000 pesos. Dahil credit natin yung 132,000 pesos, that means nag-increase yung capital ni carrot. So hindi natin i-deduct yan but rather i-add. So for carrot, the ending capital is 132,000 pesos. All in all, the ending capital is 660,000 pesos. Next, case 3, amount of investment. Carrot wants to invest for a 20% in the net assets and profits of the partnership. Requirements: if no bonus is allowed, how much should Carrot invest, and what would be the new profit or loss ratio of the partners after Carrot's admission? First, let's compute for the amount of investment. Ilan ba yung i-invest ni Carrot to get a 20% interest in the net assets and profits of the partnership? Ang total adjusted capital before admission ay 660,000 pesos. I-divide natin yan sa 80%. 80%, that is 100% minus 20%. Kasi nga, di ba, 20% interest yung kailangan ni Carrot. Yung 660,000 pesos, i-divide natin yan sa 80% to get the grossed up amount. 660,000 pesos divided by 80%, that is equal to 825,000 pesos. After that, imumultiply natin yung 825,000 pesos sa 20%. Imumultiply natin yung 825,000 pesos sa 20% to get the amount of investment. 825,000 pesos times 20%, that is equal to 165,000 pesos. I-compute na natin yung profit or loss ratio ng partners after Carrot's admission. Before admission, ang profit or loss ratio ay 60-40. 60% para kay apple at 40% para kay banana. Dahil inadmit si Carrot, yung 20% ay mapupunta sa kanya. At yung natitirang 80%, yan yung i-allocate natin kay apple at banana. For apple, 80% times 60%. That is equal to 48%. And for banana, 80% times 40%. That is equal to 32%. Therefore, after admission, the profit or loss ratio of the partners is 48-32-20. 48% for apple, 32% for banana, and 20% for carrot. Next, case 4, investment in the partnership, bonus to new partner. Carrot invests 100,000 pesos for a 20% interest in the net assets and profits of the partnership. No goodwill is recognized. In this case, the requirements are provide the entry and compute for the capital balances of the partners after Carrot's admission. First, let's compute for the bonus to Carrot, since Carrot is the new partner. Ang adjusted net assets before admission ay 660,000 pesos. I-add natin yung investment ni Carrot na 100,000 pesos para makuha natin yung net assets after admission. 660,000 pesos plus 100,000 pesos. Ilan yan? 760,000 pesos. After that, imumultiply natin yung 20% na interest ni Carrot. 760,000 pesos times 20%, that is equal to Carrot's capital credit of 152,000 pesos. Ang capital credit ni Carrot ay 152,000 pesos. Pero ang kanyang investment ay 100,000 pesos. Therefore, yung excess, yan yung tinatawag natin na bonus to Carrot. Yung excess ay 52,000 pesos. And that is the bonus to Carrot. At this point, since na-compute na natin yung bonus to Carrot na 52,000 pesos, we can now provide the entry. Debit cash, 100,000 pesos. Debit Apple capital, 31,200 pesos. Debit Banana capital, 20,800 pesos. And credit Carrot capital, 152,000 pesos. Yung 100,000 pesos, yan yung investment ni Carrot. At yung 152,000 pesos, yan yung capital credit ni Carrot. Paano na-compute yung 31,200 at 20,800? Di ba na-compute natin kanina yung bonus to Carrot na 52,000 pesos? Yang 52,000 pesos, yan yung i-allocate natin kay Apple at Banana. So for Apple, 52,000 pesos times 60%. That is equal to 31,200 pesos. And for Banana, 52,000 pesos times 40%. That is equal to 20,800 pesos. I-compute naman natin yung capital balances ng partners after Carrot's admission. Ang adjusted capital before admission ni Apple ay 437,000 pesos. Ang adjusted capital before admission ni Banana ay 223,000 pesos. All in all, the total adjusted capital before admission is 660,000 pesos. May investment si Carrot na 100,000 pesos. At merong bonus to Carrot na 52,000 pesos. Since dinebit natin yung 31,200 kanina, i-deduct natin yan sa capital ni Apple. And since dinebit natin yung 20,800 kanina, i-deduct natin yung 20,800 sa capital ni Banana. We can now compute for the capital balances of the partners after Carrot's admission. For Apple, 437,000 minus 31,200, that is equal to 405,800 pesos. For Banana, 223,000 minus 20,800, that is equal to 202,200 pesos. For Carrot, 100,000 pesos plus 52,000 pesos, that is equal to 152,000 pesos. All in all, the total capital after admission is 760,000 pesos. Next, Case 5, Investment in the Partnership, Bonus to Old Partners. Carrot invests 180,000 pesos for a 20% interest in the net assets and profits of the partnership. No goodwill is recognized. In this case, the requirements are provide the entry and compute for the capital balances of the partners after Carrot's admission. Let's first compute for the bonus to the old partners. Ang old partners ay si Apple at Banana. Ang adjusted net assets before admission ay 660,000 pesos. May investment si Carrot na 180,000 pesos. I-add natin yan para makuha natin yung net assets after admission. 660,000 pesos plus 180,000 pesos, that is equal to 840,000 pesos. After that, imumultiply natin yung 20% na interest ni Carrot in order to get the Carrot's capital credit. 840,000 pesos times 20%, that is equal to 168,000 pesos. Ang capital credit ni Carrot ay 168,000 pesos. Ang investment niya ay 180,000 pesos. Therefore, sobra ang kanyang ininvest. Yung excess ng 180,000 pesos over 168,000 pesos, yan yung bonus to Apple and Banana. Therefore, ang bonus to Apple and Banana ay 12,000 pesos. At this point, since na-compute na natin yung bonus to Apple and Banana, we can now provide the entry. Debit cash, 180,000 pesos. Credit Carrot capital, 168,000 pesos. Credit Apple capital, 7,200 pesos. Credit Banana capital, 4,800 pesos. Yung 168,000 pesos, yan yung capital credit ni Carrot. Paano na-compute yung 7,200 pesos at 4,800 pesos? Di ba merong bonus to Apple and Banana na 12,000 pesos? Yung bonus to Apple and Banana na 12,000 pesos, i-allocate natin yan sa capital ni Apple at Banana. This time, since bonus yung 12,000 para sa kanila, yung bonus na ito na 12,000 pesos, this is added to their capital. This is not deducted from their capital. For Apple, 12,000 pesos times 60%, that is equal to 7,200 pesos. And for Banana, 12,000 pesos times 40%, that is equal to 4,800 pesos. I-compute naman natin yung capital balances ng partners after Carrot's admission. Ang adjusted capital before admission ni Apple ay 437,000 pesos. Ang adjusted capital before admission ni Banana ay 223,000 pesos. All in all, that is equal to 660,000 pesos. May investment si Carrot na 180,000 pesos. Of course, yung bonus to Apple and Banana na 12,000 pesos, that is deducted from the capital of Carrot. Yung 12,000 pesos na bonus to Apple and Banana ay i-allocate kay Banana at Apple. Since credit natin yung 7,200 pesos kanina, i-add natin yan sa capital ni Apple. At since credit natin yung 4,800 pesos kanina, i-add natin yung 4,800 pesos sa capital ni Banana. So at this point, we can now compute the capital balances of the partners after the admission of Carrot. For Apple, 437,000 pesos plus 7,200 pesos, that is equal to 444,200 pesos. For Banana, 223,000 pesos plus 4,800 pesos, that is equal to 227,800 pesos. And for Carrot, ang investment niya ay 180,000 pesos. I-deduct natin yung 12,000 pesos na bonus to Apple and Banana. That is equal to 168,000 pesos. All in all, the capital after admission is 840,000 pesos. Let us now proceed to problem number 2, withdrawal, retirement, or death of a partner. Partners A, B, and C had the following capital balances on January 1, 20X1. A capital, 50%, 320,000 pesos. B capital, 30%, 192,000 pesos. And C capital, 20%, 128,000 pesos. Partner A decided to retire on September 1, 20X1. The partnership earned profit of 800,000 pesos from January 1 to August 31, 20X1. And the partners had the following capital withdrawals during the period. A, 40,000 pesos, B, 60,000 pesos, and C, 30,000 pesos. Case 1, purchase of interest by remaining partner. Partner B purchases partner A's interest for 700,000 pesos. Requirements: provide the entry and compute for the capital balances and profit or loss ratio of the partners after A's retirement. Case 2, settlement of interest by partnership. The partnership pays partner A 700,000 pesos for his interest. Requirements: provide the entry and compute for the capital balances and profit or loss ratio of the partners after A's retirement. Case 3, settlement of interest by partnership. The partnership pays partner A 650,000 pesos for his capital. Requirements: provide the entry and compute for the capital balances of the partners after A's retirement. Unahin natin yung case 1, purchase of interest by remaining partner. Partner B purchases partner A's interest for 700,000 pesos. In this case, the requirements are provide the entry and compute for the capital balances and profit or loss ratio of the partners after A's retirement. First, we have to compute for the capital balances of the partners after the retirement of A. On January 1, 20X1, ang capital ni A ay 320,000 pesos. Kay B naman, 192,000 pesos at kay C, 128,000 pesos. All in all, that is equal to 640,000 pesos. It says in the problem na merong profit na 800,000 pesos. Recall na ang profit nakakapagpataas yan ng capital. Yang profit na 800,000 pesos, i-allocate natin yan sa partners. Ang profit or loss ratio ay 50 to 30 to 20. 50% kay A, 30% kay B, at 20% kay C. So si A, ang kanyang share sa profit ay 400,000 pesos. That is 800,000 pesos times 50%. For B, 800,000 pesos times 30%. That is equal to 240,000 pesos. And for C, 800,000 pesos times 20%. That is equal to 160,000 pesos. Aside from profit, meron ding capital withdrawals during the period. Si A nag-withdraw ng 40,000 pesos, si B nag-withdraw ng 60,000 pesos, at si C nag-withdraw ng 30,000 pesos. Recall, ang drawings, nakakapag-decrease yan ng capital. All in all, the capital withdrawals amount to 130,000 pesos. At this point, pwede na nating makompute yung capital balances of the partners before retirement. For A, 320,000 pesos plus 400,000 pesos minus 40,000 pesos. Ilan yan? 680,000 pesos. For B, 192,000 pesos plus 240,000 pesos minus 60,000 pesos. That is equal to 372,000 pesos. For C, 128,000 pesos plus 160,000 pesos minus 30,000 pesos. That is equal to 258,000 pesos. All in all, the capital balances before retirement, or the total capital balance before retirement, is 1,310,000 pesos. Since binili ni partner B yung interest ni partner A, meron tayong sale from A to B. So, mababawasan ng 680,000 pesos sa capital ni A at madadagdagan naman ng 680,000 pesos sa capital ni B. Again, the sale from A to B is a personal transaction. Therefore, the total partnership capital is not affected by the sale from A to B. At this point, we can now compute the capital balances of the partners after retirement. Of course, kay A, 0. For B, 372,000 pesos plus 680,000 pesos. That is equal to 1,052,000 pesos. For C, 258,000 pesos. All in all, the capital balance after retirement is 1,310,000 pesos. We can now provide the entry on September 1, 20, X1. Debit A capital, 680,000 pesos, and credit B capital, 680,000 pesos. Yung 680,000 pesos, yan yung capital balance before retirement ni A. I-compute naman natin yung profit or loss ratio ng partners after A's retirement. Before retirement, ang profit or loss ratio ay 50 to 30 to 20. 50% kay A, 30% kay B, at 20% kay C. Dahil nag-retire si A, of course, babawasan natin yan ng 50%. Since binili ni partner B yung interest ni partner A, idadagdag natin yung 50% sa 30% ni B. Therefore, after retirement, ang profit or loss ratio ay 80-20. 80% for B and 20% for C. Next, Case 2, Settlement of Interest by Partnership. The partnership pays partner A 700,000 pesos for his interest. Requirements: provide the entry and compute for the capital balances and profit or loss ratio of the partners after A's retirement. Let us first provide the entry on September 1, 20x1. Debit A capital 680,000 pesos. Debit B capital 12,000 pesos. Debit C capital 8,000 pesos and credit cash 700,000 pesos. Yang 680,000 pesos, yan yung capital ni A before retirement. At yung 700,000 pesos, yan yung payment ng partnership kay A. Paano na-compute yung 12,000 pesos at 8,000 pesos? Ang difference between 700,000 pesos and 680,000 pesos ay 20,000 pesos. Yung 20,000 pesos, yan yung i-allocate natin kay B at C. So for B, 20,000 pesos times 30% over 50%. That is equal to 12,000 pesos. Take note, yung 30% dyan, yan yung profit or loss ratio ni B before retirement. And for C, 20,000 pesos times 20% over 50%. That is equal to 8,000 pesos. Take note, yung 20%, yan yung profit or loss ratio ni C before retirement. I-compute naman natin yung capital balances ng partners after A's retirement. Ang capital ni A before retirement ay 680,000 pesos. Ang capital ni B before retirement ay 372,000 pesos. At ang capital ni C before retirement ay 258,000 pesos. All in all, the total capital before retirement is 1,310,000 pesos. Now, since the partnership pays partner A 700,000 pesos for his interest, i-deduct natin yung 700,000 pesos sa capital ni A. And of course, i-deduct din natin yung 700,000 pesos sa total partnership capital. Of course, yung bonus to A na 20,000 pesos, i-add natin sa capital ni A. Since dinebit natin kanina yung 12,000 pesos, yung 12,000 pesos, i-deduct natin sa capital ni B. At since dinebit natin yung 8,000 pesos kanina, i-deduct natin yung 8,000 pesos sa capital ni C. At this point, pwede na nating makompute yung capital balances ng partners after retirement. Of course, for A, wala ng capital kasi nag-retire na. For B, 372,000 pesos minus 12,000 pesos. That is equal to 360,000 pesos. For C, 258,000 pesos minus 8,000 pesos. That is 250,000 pesos. All in all, the total capital after retirement is 610,000 pesos. Next, let's compute for the profit or loss ratio of the partners after A's retirement. For A, of course, wala na kasi nag-retire na si A. For B, 30% divided by 50%. That is equal to 60%. And for C, 20% divided by 50%. That is equal to 40%. Therefore, the profit or loss ratio of the partners after A's retirement is 60-40. 60% for B and 40% for C. Next, case 3, settlement of interest by partnership. The partnership pays partner A 650,000 pesos for his capital. Requirements: provide the entry and compute for the capital balances of the partners after A's retirement. First, let us provide the entry to record the retirement of A from the partnership on September 1, 20x1. Debit A capital 680,000 pesos, credit cash 650,000 pesos, credit B capital 18,000 pesos, credit C capital 12,000 pesos. Yung 680,000 pesos, yan yung capital ni A before his retirement. Yung 650,000 pesos, yan yung payment ng partnership kay partner A. Since mas malaki yung capital ni A before retirement na 680,000 pesos kaysa doon sa payment ng partnership kay partner A na 650,000 pesos, may bonus to B and C. Yung difference ng 680,000 pesos at 650,000 pesos, yan yung i-allocate natin kay B at C. 680,000 pesos minus 650,000 pesos, ilan yan? 30,000 pesos. So for B, 30,000 pesos times 30% over 50%. That is equal to 18,000 pesos. And for C, 30,000 pesos times 20% over 50%. That is equal to 12,000 pesos. Next, i-compute naman natin yung capital balances ng partners after retirement. Ang capital ni A before retirement ay 680,000 pesos. Ang capital ni B before retirement ay 372,000 pesos. At ang capital ni C before retirement ay 258,000 pesos. All in all, the total capital before retirement is 1,310,000 pesos. Since the partnership pays partner A 650,000 pesos for his capital, i-deduct natin yung 650,000 pesos sa capital ni A, and at the same time, i-deduct natin yung 650,000 pesos sa total partnership capital. May bonus to B and C, so i-deduct din natin yung 30,000 pesos sa capital ni A. Since credit natin yung 18,000 pesos kanina, i-add natin yan sa capital ni B. Credit din natin yung 12,000 pesos kanina, idadagdag natin yung 12,000 pesos sa capital ni C. At this point, pwede na nating makompute yung capital balances ng partners after retirement. For A, of course, 0 na yan since nag-retire na si A. For B, 372,000 pesos plus 18,000 pesos. That is equal to 390,000 pesos. For C, 258,000 pesos plus 12,000 pesos. That is equal to 270,000 pesos. All in all, the total capital after retirement is 660,000 pesos.